Hello, it's time for another episode of For Your Reconsideration, in which we have a look at a commercial or creative cinematic stink bomb and see whether it's worth another sniff. Or whiff. I'm losing the metaphor. Never mind. I'm Rob, and here's Simon and James. How we doing, boys?
Oh, good time. Great intro.
Did you enjoy that one?
For that. I'm right on the edge.
You're on the edge. Oh my word! I know, because it was my choice this week. I understand.
Yeah.
I think if I spoiler alert. I mean, even I'm on the edge.
It's always the wild card when it's your film, Rob.
I know. This is it, because listeners, we do this in cycles. So we take it in turns and we go around the cycle, and it became, after Hard Target 3 episodes ago, it becomes my turn again. And I didn't want to go with bullets this time. I went for a whole different level of artillery this time. But never mind that. We'll get there. What have you guys been watching this week?
I've been watching loads this week, actually. So just a quick summary of each. Pet Sematary remake.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I went to see the Pet Sematary remake. Went to a screening in Leicester Square, which was lovely. It's a wonderfully concise and suitably creepy adaptation of Stephen King's novel, which I'm too scared to read. It's really good. Really good film. I can't do horror films at all. I could do this one. It was good. It was more creepy and a bit weird rather than being like straight out scary, freak the shit out. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Can I ask? In the trailer, it looked like there was some practical effects. Were there practical effects?
I think it's mainly practical effects. It's really good. Yeah,
because that's so much scarier than CGI.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure loads of it was CGI, but I certainly didn't notice. Especially the cat. There's a proper scabby cat in it. You can't trust cats. You cannot trust cats. Also, been watched the film called Ideal Home, which is a nice, wholesome story of Steve Coogan and Paul Rudd as two gay granddads looking after...
It's so good.
Looking after... Steve Coogan is a celebrity chef who's...
I mean, if you think I've heard of that, you need to have a look at yourself.
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix, but it's like proper... It's a bit hidden on Netflix. I'm not sure they were... So there's plenty of jokes in there. I was laughing quite a lot, especially.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's good.
There's a reference to Dances with Wolves, what was very, very funny.
Wicked.
And then last but not least, I watched the Motley Crue biopic, The Dirt, another Netflix film, which is as utterly ridiculous as the wigs in the teasers and trailers suggest, but it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. It's debaucherous and misogynistic and fucking nuts, but apparently that's what their life was like in the 80s. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking that one out.
What about you, James? What have you been on?
I got 5 on it. I went to see Us this week.
Oh, nice, yes.
I tell you what, loonies have had a touch, haven't they? I mean, the hottest writer-director in the world right now using your song from, the early 90s in the marketing.
Oh, it's on the
3
trailer,
times
isn't
in the
it?
film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Royalty.
Can we just, what a song that is. Whew.
Oh, yeah, it's an absolute banger. It's superb. But yeah, Us is fantastic. I came out and I was like, that was really good. I really enjoyed that. And then it's just sort of burrowed its way into my mind over the course of the week. And now I'm like, actually, it was really, really amazing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it again. It's really sharp. It's very creepy. I wouldn't say it's scary as such. I'm a bit like Simon in that respect. I'm a bit of a scaredy cat. But yeah, it was very creepy. It's funny. There's allegorical stuff going on there. There's sharp social commentary and satire. Yeah, it's excellent. Jordan Peele's like up there now with Chris Nolan and David Fincher for me. I will follow that dude anywhere. Yeah,
Nice,
he's superb.
nice.
So yes, I enjoyed that immensely.
Cool.
Oh, wicked. The trailers looked like outrageously good for that. Like as in you would drop everything to go to the cinema to see that. If you didn't have 3 kids, which was obviously the scenario I found myself in.
I hope your children never listen to this podcast because you blame them for everything.
It's a litany of bitterness.
You ruined my life.
Well, aside, on the topic of the three kids, my watching week is usually dominated by watching which Russian children on YouTube have got what toys this week, which is absurd. But they've got 12. No, I think one of them's got like 20 million followers. It's absurd. Subscribers. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. So I have to watch this kid get a new toy every week, which is great. But no, actually, I deviated this week from that to watch a movie by myself of an evening. And it's taken me 4 nights to watch it, but I watched Duncan Jones's Source Code.
Oh,
wow.
Nice.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
I was not expecting that.
No.
Oh, from deep.
Is that for the first time, or...?
Yeah, first time, yeah.
What did you think of it?
It was absolutely amazing.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, I like that. I like it a lot, yeah.
We mentioned a few weeks ago how Gyllenhaal is just... he's Mr. Dependable, I think, actually. And I would, and as he gets older, I think he's only going to grow more into this role of the absolute everyman for every situation. But be more than just the everyman. He's going to be that chameleonic actor that can do anything, I think.
Yeah.
His range is nuts, isn't it?
He can do the lot.
Yeah, but I mean, he took this performance in this film and, you'd follow him to the ends of the earth just because the way he was. It was outstanding. I loved it. I really liked it. Good. Now, we're about to go on to the movie of the week, but the first thing is, because this pod is out there now, I want to offer an apology because 3 weeks ago, on the Hard Targets episode, I mixed up the Suchet brothers. I actually said that it was John Suchet.
You did as well.
I did not notice.
I said it was newsreader John Suchet, who was double deniming perpetrators, when in fact it was actually his brother David Suchet, who was his Belgian comrade Poirot.
I mean, I'd also like to see John Suchet do it.
I think we could do the whole Suchet clan doing the double denim thing. Anyway, for huge fans of the Suchet family, I apologise for the mix.
Well, you are Jean-Claude Van Damme's agent. Make it happen.
Yeah, well, I know. The sky is the limit, John Suchet. If you're listening, just hook a brother up, man. Anyway, without further ado, let's go into this week's movie. This week's movie is, oh gosh, I don't even know where to begin with this. It came back to me, so I'm going to say click.
The most awesome force in the universe, the most powerful device ever created, is now in the hands of one man.
Cool. You wanted a universal remote. That remote controls your universe.
For me to do those documents, it's gonna take me months.
And you better get started.
Wow, I got a big headache. You do? So I can re-experience any part of my life I want to.
The remote.
Making up.
Click it.
Is that my parents?
They're making you.
Get me out of here!
Takes control.
This thing's broken. He's fast forwarding on its own. What else did I miss?
Adam Sandler.
You look a little pale there, pal. Let me fix that. Don't get the Hulk angry. You won't like him when he's angry.
Click.
Plants catch?
Yeah, but your kid stinks.
A regular Derek Jeter right there.
One of James's favourites.
Oh, I'm going to be the bad guy on this pod, aren't I? I can feel it coming.
The remit, when we talked about this pod, was we're going to talk about films that deserve a second chance. And I thought at the time, and I still, I purport to suggest that the film Click, starring Adam Sandler, from 2006, is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Boys, what did you think?
Oh, God.
James has got his head in his hands.
Can I start with the box art?
Yeah, you start with James. Go with the box art. Go for it.
Mercifully, we can record this, and I feel usually I'd give a spoiler warning. Now I'm just giving a warning. So I've picked this up. I've seen it before. We'll get into that later because we've had a disagreement about this film many moons ago. I'll share with you a little story. So I didn't realise that this was available on my Sky TV subscription. So I toddled off to go and find it in a shop this week. And I went into a well-known string of second-hand DVD suppliers. And there I found it for 50 English pence.
What, did you get paid 50 pence?
No, unfortunately not. So I had to pick up this sole DVD and take it up to the counter. And the man just looked at me. He looked at me like he pitied me. And I would have felt less embarrassed buying a suitcase full of hardcore pornography than purchasing this single DVD.
The staff at those shops, they've seen all the films in there, so they are like in the prime position to be judging any purchase.
They are well qualified.
And the front cover is like, it's just sort of, I mean, if you say that the DVD is 7 inches long, the front cover is 6 inches of Adam Sandler's massive face.
Yes, and then the other bit is the remote itself in question, and on here we get some jokes. I just did the bunny ears for jokes, so just to give the listener an idea of the level of comedy that we're going to find in this particular offering, is you've got your remote control buttons on there, so you've got play. Under that is golf. There's no golf in this film. Delete parking tickets. Never gets a parking ticket in this film. Skip hangover. Never has a hangover in this film. Slow-mo vacation. No vacation. You're seeing a theme here, aren't you? And my particular favourite is mute. Mother-in-law.
Who again doesn't feature in the film at all.
Is this a case for false advertising?
This is a case of a designer who has not seen the film.
This is Adam Sandler just not giving a shiny shite about what's going out with his face on it.
The design of the remote is also different to the design of the remote in the film, isn't it?
Is it? I have to be honest, I've not looked at the front of it, so I don't know, I've seen it.
It's just, I mean, and that for me basically sums that film up, so should we just wrap it up here?
I have to, Si, please, take this. Because we both really liked this at university, didn't
when
we?
I first watched this, I had my opinions and we disagreed with James at the time. But let's just roll it back to like the sort of why we're doing this podcast. We're trying to milk out the positives, and boy, do we have to pick on those T's to milk out the positives.
Rob, before we do that, could I just ask, why have you picked this film? Come on, I think you need to bring it.
Of course,
to stump up it.
I've got to front up and I've got to be honest, right? When I saw this first time, 2006, I don't think I saw it in the cinema. No, I definitely didn't see it in the cinema because that would have been hugely embarrassing.
No,
because the end of the film poleaxed me. Absolutely poleaxed me. It was a mix of one of the greatest scores I've ever heard that's still not been granted a soundtrack in Rupert Gregson-Williams' score for this. Apparently, another composer, I can't remember the name, left just before end of photography, and they were supposed to go into studio on this. So, Rupert Gregson-Williams came in and smashed it. His score was outrageous. And the end of the film, just for reasons we will discuss, destroyed me in an emotional sense. And I always thought since then that the message of this film was extremely, while at times clumsily delivered, extremely pure. And I always kind of loved it for that. And that's why I thought that this needed a second look.
I think that's good enough reason to...
Thank God for that. Thank God.
I was just wondering, I've always been curious why you guys like it so much.
Yeah.
And I was willing to give it a second time, and I have, and I bought it.
That's the whole...
I'm in a similar boat to you, Rob, I think. I definitely got something out of it the first time, and my sort of memory over the years was very kind to it, I think.
Yeah.
But I do think there are positives to take from it, things to appreciate about it, which we will discuss in due course, I guess.
Critically, how was this received?
So, critically, it did not fare thee well at all. So,
you don't say.
I mean, the critics do hate Adam Sandler. I think across the board, a lot of people, they really have a bit of disdain for Adam Sandler. I mean, I love his 90s, the 90s comedy. Wedding Singer and The Waterboy are, for me, 90s classics in terms of...
I agree.
Yeah, they're great. I don't want to come across as an Adam Sandler hater.
No.
I like Happy Gilmore. I really like The Waterboy.
Billy Madison.
And I think the Wedding Singer is a really sweet and well-judged romantic comedy. I think it's excellent.
Yeah, no, it is. And he's actually, while he has sort of like a shtick, he's good in those movies.
Yeah, because they fit. His shtick fits the setups for those films perfectly, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Is this a good time to say that Click is an Oscar-nominated film?
Is it? What? I did not know that. What?
Yeah.
Best support, Christopher Walken?
Which actually sets it aside from all the other films we've done so far.
Oh, God.
Well, you get, you again, this is what needs to be shouted out. You get good work on bad films.
You do, mate. You do, definitely. Yeah, and I think that can never be overlooked. Like we were talking about Gregson Williams' score.
Yeah,
this score is outrageous in this film.
The score is good. It did strike me as very... it's very big come the end.
Yeah, exactly.
It really goes very, very large.
But you can't get it anywhere. So if you ever want to listen to it, you have to watch the end of Click just to hear it.
Yeah, it's not worth it, is it?
But on the topic of the soundtrack's ace. I think the soundtrack is ace. Apart from U2 over the end credits, which ruins everything.
I mean, I'm personally, I'm not a fan of where it's just music, just popular music of the time in a car stereo.
I see what you mean. Yeah. Designed to sort of generate a reaction.
So they're having a barbecue and there's a random song on. I mean, that sort of stuff I'm not that jazzed on. But in terms of the score, it was brilliant. Oh, it was great.
Yeah, lovely.
Not the alternative version of Linger at the end of when there was the wedding.
We're going to get to that. We will get to that. Okay. I love it. Sorry, we totally went off a tangent then on the scores.
We did.
Rotten Tomatoes has it as 33%. So it's not just rotten, it's an absolute stinker critically. I mean, I would say surprisingly, but it's probably not surprising that audience numbers have it at 66, which is a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
Which says a lot about Adam Sandler's popularity.
Yeah, definitely.
The interesting one, though, was on Metacritic. So Metacritic is similar to Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know how it works in terms of its algorithms to make it different, but I do find quite a lot of difference on there between Rotten Tomatoes. It's 45 on Metacritic, which is still bad. But it's
less bad.
It's better than 33%. But I think I found why it's quite good. I'm obviously not going to go to the whole review, but this is from Mick LaSalle of the San Francisco Chronicle.
Oh.
One of the best American films of the year, 5 stars.
Whoa! Whoa! That's like one of the... I mean, that is the... You would put that on the front of every DVD box you ever made.
I think that's what he was going for. He must have been going for with that 5 stars. He also gave Tommy Boy 5 stars, which was out. Was that in the 90s? Was that like David Spade?
Yeah.
And, he gave that 5 stars. Gave the Western Unforgiven. Do you remember Unforgiven?
Yeah,
good film. Really good.
Academy Award winner.
Yeah. Good old Mick LaSalle gave it 2 stars. So that's the sort of range good old Mick is going with.
We know what Mick likes now. We know what he likes.
He loves a bit of schmaltz.
Yeah.
Well, we ain't got near the schmaltz yet.
I mean, Mick, I'm just looking at the DVD box now. Mick's review hasn't made it onto the box, unfortunately. Instead, they went with a cracking comedy treat, Daily Star.
I always buy the Daily Star for their accurate film reviews.
We mentioned before, James, about the topic of budget. What budget was this? Have you got any factoids we can feast upon on
Hard
the topic
figures.
of click? Yeah.
Right. What do you think the budget of this film is, Rob?
50 mil.
50 mil?
Yeah.
Seems about right, doesn't it? There's a few visual effects and what
Yeah,
have you,
I
but
mean,
generally it's a fairly basically well shot, competently shot comedy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the budget of this film is $82.5 million. It's quite a lot, that, isn't it?
That is a lot. That is a lot. What we were talking about a film not long ago, and it was like the budget was like 100 mil. Was that Speed Racer?
Speed Racer.
This is only 20 mil shy of that, like, absolute orgy for the eyes, and then this is just bloody hell.
It's shot
So I
in
think we
one
know about
house.
50%.
A fat suit and
Actually, no, we should probably give the log line of the film at this point. Anyone got the log line?
Rob, this is your part. You're doing the
Oh, is this what? Okay. Right, a belligerent middle-aged man is given a remote control that will control time, and he uses it for all the wrong means, fast-forwards his life, and begins to regret it. That about right?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Excellent.
Or as
excellent.
someone, also, I can't remember her name, put very succinctly on Letterboxd, it's a wonderful life, but for arseholes.
I saw that review as well.
I'm so sorry, I've totally forgot who said that. But it's so funny.
That is a class review, whoever you are. Amazing.
Yeah, it's spot on that.
Yeah,
it's absolutely spot on.
So the film opens with a stressed out Adam Sandler, which seems to be his, an extension of his shtick. Someone take over, please.
So he's doing the Adam Sandler thing, but he's not doing it in what I believe is a standard sort of Adam Sandler vehicle now. He's trying to move into that Jim Carrey, Robin Williams sort of high concept family comedy.
Oh, yeah.
But does not change his approach to it in any way, shape or form. So he's still a complete, idiot adolescent man-child.
Yeah.
Who's apparently an architect as well. Now, doesn't an architect take 7 years of training at university?
But then I don't think Adam Sandler is will be married to Kate Beckinsale either.
I think we can't overlook how much control that Adam Sandler has over these projects. He's the star. He's probably pulling down 20 million a movie minimum.
Is that where 20 million of the budget of this went?
Well, he produces them, doesn't he, as well? So he obviously...
He gets 2 fees. He's done 2 bits of work, Rob. Come on now. So he picks the directors. I'm sure he picks the writers as well. And he comes up with the idea and then goes, right, lads, you go and do all the hard stuff and then come back and let me know how you're getting on. And I think he has a very close rein on who his love interests are. So we've got Kate Beckinsale in this one. We've had Drew Barrymore 3 times, Salma Hayek twice, Jennifer Aniston, Jessica Biel, who's married to Justin Timberlake, just for a bit of context on how ridiculous that is.
What film was Jessica Biel in?
Chuck and Larry.
Chuck and Larry.
Oh, yes, of course.
That classic.
Head of its time, James. Head of its time.
Emmanuel Chiriqui and Winona Ryder. So,
Mr. Deeds, yeah. Mr. Deeds, wasn't she?
He sort of reminds me of Ben Stiller's cameo in Extras, where he starts bragging about all the nice ladies that he's kissed. Because he's been in films with them.
Similar list as well. I think Ben Stiller's got a similar list.
Yeah. Competing. That was obviously now a bit of a bugbear that him and Beckinsale don't look like a very natural couple, do they? Especially when you consider that, he's mushy with her, but he's not kind to her, is he?
Oh, he's horrible. He's a horrible person. That's why I don't like this film.
That's what I've realised, is that he is actually not very nice.
And there's no reason for him to be like that. He's got a perfectly good life. It's so he's an architect, right? Which, as we've established, takes 7 years of training.
Yes.
That is a well-paid job.
Yes.
Right? It's not like he's a bin man. I could understand it in that context, or if he was like a writer struggling to get started or something like that. But Yeah, so he's not running the company with David Hasselhoff.
That's such a good point. Such a good point.
But he's got a good life. Have you seen the size of his house?
Yeah.
I don't have an ensuite bathroom in my bedroom.
But I get, like, if we just sort of fish out a positive, I think the kids are just great in this film.
They are.
They're really cute.
Yeah,
they're really sweet. His son especially is so sweet. And he's just a lovely little actor, and he's so nice. And to Sandler's credit, I would give him that his exchanges with kids in his films, and especially this one, they're often the funniest bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Daddy, and then in Wedding Singer when his nephews are really funny.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the jokes come from. It's probably because his level of humour is that of a child. That's what it but when they do that swimming pool bit and he's trying to get to his kid's swimming pool.
Oh, yeah.
There's the Asian kid in the pool and he gets the wrong kid. And then he makes that joke. He makes that joke about that he's actually his dad, and the kid's like, "Is that really true?" That was a laugh. I laughed at that bit. That was a good joke.
I've laughed at you telling it to me. I didn't laugh at it during the film.
No, but that's true. There are a number of actual genuine laughs in the film, and that's one of them. Like, I love it, like later on, and he's being a horrible child. James, you're shaking your head.
I laughed at that bit. I laughed at it,
but I laughed at when the kid came in later. When he's being horrible to some other kids, he's like, "I hate that man." I enjoyed that. I realise now in suggesting this film, I've made life hard on myself in a little way.
We've got a job to do to turn this round.
Yeah. No, but my mind might have changed a bit. I think mainly because, like you say, James, fundamentally, this is a man who is obsessed so much with upward mobility in his company that he does not see the positives in his life, which are absolutely abundant.
Yeah, and it's you can say, oh well, Scrooge is a bad character, but Scrooge is a lonely old man, so it's not the same. It's not the same thing. He has a transformation where he realises that he's wasted his life and he's going to do everything that he can to live the life better now. Whereas this guy's still a young man in his prime. He's literally living the American dream.
Yeah.
Which is owning his own home, having a lovely family, having a good job, a very good job, I might add. I mean, does Adam Sandler think that being an architect is not a good job? Like, is he that out of touch with reality that he doesn't know?
From the amount he whinges, you'd be forgiven for thinking.
I mean, to ape on the comparison to It's a Wonderful Life again.
Because that's... But Si, you're right, this is the obvious comparison, because it's clearly...
Yeah.
It's clearly trying to be a modern update, isn't it?
Yeah, so It's a Wonderful Life's one of my favourite films. It's in my top 5
it's a classic,
of all time.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And when it gets to that point in It's a Wonderful Life where George Bailey realises that he may as well kill himself and blah, blah, blah. And he is at that point where Sandler is in this, I think, where he does have a good life and he doesn't realise it. But you've watched an hour and a half of him beforehand, sort of starting at the top and knowing his life is good, but then just sort of crumbling as it goes. Sandler he hates his life from the off.
Yeah.
We don't go on a journey with him to why he hates his life. He just hates it, and he comes across as a bitter little shit.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm not running the company.
And like where he goes to fight those teenagers because they're setting off bangers outside. It's like behave. They're only just dicking about. Leave them alone.
And that's what I mean by him trying to move into this era of doing these 4-quadrant high concept family comedies and not changing up the shtick, because that's a joke out of Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
And he's a total loose
which he
cannon
does
who just
over and
flies
over
off.
again.
Yeah. But he's supposed to be a family man here. He's dangerously unhinged.
Is he upset with life because his boss is David Hasselhoff, who doesn't seem to give one damn about architecture?
I think that David Hasselhoff is the best thing in this film, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not even joking. He knows exactly what type of film he's in, and he knows exactly what sort of character he's supposed to be playing.
Yeah. I think a lot of the plus points are from the support. I think Beckinsale's good, Hasselhoff's good, Walken's great. Henry Winkler, we'll get to Henry Winkler. He is just heartbreaking in this film. And it's everyone else around Sandler, who sort of try desperately to bring it up. Apart from Rob Schneider.
I mean, this film was released in 2006.
Does anyone want to say what Rob Schneider's role in this is, please? Can someone else say it?
I think you should say it, Rob, because you picked the film.
Ah, dear. What is the appropriate way of saying this? I don't know how to say it. It is an extremely dreadful misstep. I mean, it was a misstep. It would be a tragic misstep now, but 12, 13 years ago, I mean, how this was even thought of is ridiculous. But so, one of the clients of Hasselhoff's, the idea of saying Hasselhoff's architecture firm is ridiculous, but Hasselhoff's architecture firm's main client is an Arab prince, played by Rob Schneider in prosthetics and makeup. And it is... it's an ugly moment, to say the very least.
Like Fisher Stevens in Short Circuit.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, hang on a minute.
Still get shit for that.
I need to openly sort of admit something though. I didn't notice at the time that was Rob Schneider. But honestly, I would not have known that was Rob Schneider if you hadn't have told me, James. Sadly, this tells me one of two things. So either I'm completely naive and oblivious to, everything, or Rob Schneider puts in a performance akin to Ben Kingsley in Gandhi.
It's the latter. Definitely.
I must also make a confession. I've only noticed it because I'm a huge Rob Schneider fan. I mean, it goes for me like Rob Schneider's up here and Daniel Day-Lewis is just a little bit below. Rob Schneider can play anything.
As evidenced by this film.
He can play the animal, he can play the hot chick, Juice Bigelow, Male Gigolo. There's a brilliant gag in South Park where they go, Rob Schneider is a stapler.
Oh, yeah, that is so dodgy. That is really dodgy.
It's so wrong. 2006.
Oh, my God.
Well, let's just stick back to, what was the gross on this? So, budget was 82 mil.
Yeah, this made...
So it's 82 mil budget.
It's 237 million worldwide.
$250 million.
I bet 200 of that was from certain parts of America.
Woo! It's Adam Sandler, bro. Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think we've acknowledged that obviously Sandler's turn in this is, dare I say, use the word repugnant at times. Can we use that? Because it is pretty grim. Watching it again, he swears unnecessarily in his kids' faces an awful lot.
He mercilessly bullies that ginger child from next door.
Yeah.
He's an O'Doyle, though.
He's an O'Doyle.
That is a nice reference I enjoyed, to be honest.
Was it Billy Madison?
It was, yeah. O'Doyle rules.
I thought they were all dead, those O'Doyles. I thought they'd gone off a cliff.
Yeah. Obviously, the seed had been spread somewhere else. Anyway, sorry, that's assuming that all the films are connected.
Still shouldn't really bully children.
Not really. They did pick an extremely irritating kid to play that role, though, so good on them, Or great acting from the kid.
He delivered. Great acting. I'm sure he's a lovely little fella.
Like the postman, he delivered. Before long we get to a point where Sandler is so hacked off with his life, he's got to go, he gets so irritated and he drives a drone into his own face. And then he's got to, he's upset with the amount of remote controls he's got, which is a very mid-2000s obsession.
Is that a problem, really? I've never had this problem.
No, I think nowadays, I think with a decade advanced on from this point, that we're actually able to differentiate between what all the other plastic slabs in our living rooms do. But obviously, Sandler was totally...
He's an architect, don't forget that.
Yeah, well, he...
Smart guy. He is a smart guy.
Yeah,
smart guy.
So he
at least 8 years of school.
He drives out to the shops to go and buy a new universal remote. And he ends up meeting up with one of the great characters of the 21st century in Morty.
Oh, yes, Walken. I mean, he does kind of phone it in.
He does, yeah.
But he phones it in the most Walken way ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just does. He just goes, I'll come to your set. I'll be Chris Walken.
I mean, it's absurd that he's trying to buy a remote and he goes to like the back room of Bed Bath and Beyond, and he it doesn't look like a shop. Doesn't look like a shop at all.
No.
But he thinks that's where the remotes naturally would be to sell.
He's an architect, don't forget.
Yes,
he's a very smart guy.
Very smart guy.
Yeah.
But the bit where he's going through the remote with him and he goes, press the menu button, and Sandler's like, what do you mean? You mean on the remote? And then he goes, I can't do a walking, but I'm going to give it a whirl. And he's like, no, the menu on the Red Lobster. Yes, on the remote.
That's a really good walking.
That is a great walking. Absolute murderous walking. Incredible.
Yeah, then I when he did that line, I keeled over laughing.
And then, so he gets a remote, and then more stuff happens from there. I'm going to go with, I really liked the design of the remote itself. I thought it looked flashy. It looked like Sky Q in 2030.
He likes the remote so much that he doesn't realise that it's a different remote on the DVD box.
No, that is very, that's very true. Very true.
So I'm only pulling your leg. No, it's... you can't really fault the film in terms of the cinematography and the visual effects are all absolutely fine. The makeup's great. You know, it's just the content of what's actually happening on the screen that I have the issue with, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah,
it could have been so much better, I think. It could have been.
I think it's a good concept.
Yeah.
It's just really poorly executed.
I mean, it doesn't do anything adventurous and doesn't do anything new, I guess. But for 2006... You know, the effects are pretty solid. When he's slapping Hasselhoff's face when he pauses him.
Oh, stop for a minute,
slapping his face in the office. Like, it's such a subtle effect, but it is very funny when he slaps his face and it just moves like an inch. Like that, for me, was
well done. It's
really well done.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Can I just... Right, that is the moment of the film where I'm dying.
Is that the bit that made you cry?
With delight. Now, this is usually James's job to say, please go and watch the movie if you've not watched it already. Spoiler alert. No, it's not really a spoiler. He pauses. Because so this remote control gives him the ability to pause. Do, you know, all the buttons you see on a regular remote control, he can do with real life if he points it at them or if he presses them or whatever. You know, so he can mute his dog if it's barking or whatever like that. His boss is David Hasselhoff. He denies him a raise, so he pauses Hasselhoff, slaps him about the face in that lovely effect. And then when he's not done with that, because obviously Hasselhoff thinks he's had a sudden incurrence of a migraine, he hops up on the desk and rips a giant fart in his frozen paused face and then presses play. Hasselhoff has never been better than the moment when when play is pressed and he's like, his lips are like, James, get up from your desk. You know, it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
I hate myself for laughing at it, to be honest.
We all pretend we hate fart jokes, but we all laugh at
No.
Oh no, farts are hilarious. Like, there's no getting around it.
It's the finest form of humour. There's not better.
It's just where he goes... He shouts his assistant. Did you shit in my salad?
There's so much to enjoy about that. It's lovely. And then you like, as a kid, like there was do you guys remember when we were kids? On telly there was a programme about a Bernard's watch.
Right, yeah. And Bernard's watch.
Yeah. And like, to me, like watching that, the possibility of stopping or pausing time was just like endless and mind-blowing. And the same I felt when years later I watched Jesse Bradford in Clock Stoppers.
Another classic.
Got it on DVD over here, mate. If you want that one. Yeah. Again, you know, like it's just the notion that you can stop time, you can do whatever you want with it, and the possibilities are endless. Just so happens that in this instance, Adam Sandler wants to assault people and fart in their face.
And slow down for boobies.
Right. Can we just...
We're in Hasselhoff's office, so it's a good sort of segue to it. It's so misogynistic.
Oh, it is. Without a doubt, yeah.
There are just... So Hasselhoff has got these two assistants who are beautiful women, and that's all they're there for. They don't have any lines. They don't do anything other than walk around in short skirts.
One of them nods later on.
But the whole architecture firm is populated by Hasselhoff and Adam Sandler. They seem to be the only blokes who work there. And then every single other person in that office is a large-breasted, attractive woman, apart from Adam Sandler's assistant, which is obviously another thing that he has a problem with. And then they make a hilarious joke later on about her having a gender reassignment.
Oh, yeah. Again, like, if that was now, fucking hell. Jesus.
This film would not get made now.
So can we just right, when Sandler decides that he's going to use this to alter his life, this remote control, what does he use this power for? Because as far as I can see, it's just seriously to fast forward bits of his life that he's bored with. He uses it for misogynistic purposes. Does he do anything good with this power?
No, it's all selfish. It's wholly selfish. The whole use of it is selfish. Like when he mutes people. I found it really weird how he didn't clock the power of the remote.
Yeah.
So he paused Kate Beckinsale when she was having a fight with him, and he didn't notice. But then he turned down the dog, and that's when he noticed. The dog was barking at night. He was working through the night, and the dog started barking. He was like, "Be quiet." So he picks up the remote and turns the dog down. Would anyone do that in real life anyway?
No, they wouldn't.
Would anyone pick up a remote to try and turn it? Okay, a universal remote handles everything. It doesn't handle your domestic pets.
It's just lazy. It's so lazy. And what I found from this is that this script is written by two guys called O'Keefe and Steve Corran. Now, Steve Corran is a comedy writer who's written on SNL, Seinfeld, and Veep. So he knows how to write a joke, you would assume, based on his resume. They also wrote Bruce Almighty. And this is like a shitty remake of Bruce Almighty, in which a schlub who's not happy with his life gets the godlike powers, in the case of Bruce Almighty, to be God, and then uses them selfishly, realises that his life was much better without them, and then he has a transcendent effect in the third act of the movie. Spoilers. But with this particular film, he doesn't do anything with it other than skip forward to when he might be getting paid more money.
Such a good point, man.
Yeah.
Such a good point.
I think the first 2/3 of the film are problematic. It's got a few good jokes in it, as we've discussed. I think the James Earl Jones joke,
That's the best joke in the whole film.
That is really good, yeah.
Oh, there's also the joke where he basically tells his dad to suck his dick as well.
The TikTok one where he goes like...
Yeah.
Did he just ask the Fonz to come and suck his dick? It's
basically...
Well, I mean, his mum and dad are played amazingly in this film by the Fonz and Marge Simpson.
Yeah, I think he's, again, going back to the support cast, them two are brilliant in it. They're so sweet and lovely and wholesome. And Henry Winkler, he's not in it enough, I don't think.
I was surprised. I remembered him being in it more. I think he's in about 3 or 4 scenes.
He's not in it at all. But I think that's how good testament to how good he was in it, I think.
He was good in it.
He smashes
where
it.
It's due.
He smashes it to bits. Yeah. I think we're talking about all the different angles and ways in which this film may or may not have failed. And it has failed in a number of ways. One of the things that I think it didn't fail at, and this is that where we look for positivity, is its overall message of making the most out of life while it's there. But I don't know whether it conveyed it well enough.
Yeah, I think...
You know what I mean?
It's kind of a case of too little too late, I think. Because I do think the third act is really good, if I'm going to be honest.
It's the strongest part of the film, definitely.
Yeah.
Talk about a tone shift.
Yeah.
It's like From Dusk Till Dawn when the vampires suddenly come out.
As soon as that takes over, the remote takes over. You know, it has a point to it, and the story takes over. I think because
we're not just in Sandler's kiddie mode.
That's
anymore,
exactly what it is.
You know, we're like actually there's a drive to it that wasn't there before.
Yeah. So the first 2/3 are Sandler being his immature best, doing the jokes what he thinks are funny. At least some land, some don't, blah, blah, blah. But then the actual story happens in that last 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And honestly, I still think it's really good. I think it's still really effective.
Yeah, I agree with you. The last, now you've said it like that, the last, if you take away all the times he uses these powers for just horrible means, and all the times that we have to watch the dog try and hump a duck teddy.
I mean, that's like, he must think that's the funniest joke in the world, because that is called back again and again and again.
Again, 7 times, mate. Oh,
Really?
I counted it 7 times. We have to watch
Talk
that.
about flogging a dead horse or
yeah.
duck.
I have to honest, it wasn't funny the first time you saw it, you know, like, and I remember back in 2006, I didn't find that one funny either. But you're right, Si, the last 40 minutes, the film sort of finds its feet and momentum, and we're not really about sort of Sandler the man-child anymore. We're about Sandler, a man who's lost his way in life and he's let everything that was good slip away.
Yeah. They didn't set him up well enough. They didn't use the first act to set him up as a relatable, nice guy.
Yeah. Because if they had, it would have destroyed us.
Well, yeah, because, like, let's be honest, like, it's annoying because I do think at its core, it's got a really nice message and it's a really wholesome message. Yeah. And in the end, it does deliver that, but you've been so offended by what's come before.
Honestly, I think this is the most succinct and accurate analysis of this film going. I think like that we are so numbed by sex and poo jokes right the way through, and offensive misogynistic commentary and stereotypes. Yeah, so that by the time we get to the point where the central message, which is a really important one, which the film lands, I mean, it smashes this for me, smashes it, but because it's fumbled everything before it, it still hurts and it still makes me cry. And I think, that is down to Gregson Williams' amazing score, by the way, obviously,
and the Fonz,
and the Fonz, of course. Oh God.
I think someone like Robin Williams or Eddie Murphy could have done this. Like, if this was a vehicle for them, like back in the 90s when they were age appropriate to do this sort of family comedy, I think they could have delivered on this sort of concept, to be honest, and they wouldn't have. It's his shtick, I think, that really jars with the rest of the film. It just doesn't fit at all.
No, it's weird as well because it's the same director who did The Wedding Singer and The Waterboy.
Oh, is it? I didn't know.
It is. Man. Yeah. So
he's in the film, by the way.
He is. He's the doctor at the end, isn't he?
Yeah.
But that comes back to Sandler again, doesn't it? Like, he's so much more of a huge movie star than he was. So The Wedding Singer and Waterboy came out the same year, 1998. Yeah. So they did them back to back. By that point, those two are huge hits. Like, The Wedding Singer's the real crossover one. The other ones have done well before that, but that's the first, like, massive hit.
Yeah.
4-quadrant, everybody loves it. Men will love it, women love it. It's a great, like, sort of date movie.
Yeah.
And then
it's fucking brilliant, Wedding Singer. It's fucking brilliant.
He's really good in it.
I don't think... And then he's gone off and he's worked with P.T. Anderson as well. He's done Punch Drunk Love in the interim.
Yeah.
So I just don't think you can get him under control anymore. I don't think he can be directed.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Going back to that third act thing, and, you've just said, James, he was in Punch Drunk Love, where you're like, holy shit, Adam Sandler can act if he wants to.
Yeah.
And I do think there's a 20-minute period where you're like, fuck, he's good in this. He is good in this.
Yeah, no, you're right, man. You're right.
It's since dispersed with him going, I'm a big fat guy, look at my big fat titties.
I like the skin flap, though, where he has the heart attack and he wakes up and it's fast-forwarded. And he's in the hospital bed and he's lost all his weight again.
Oh,
and then he just flaps his belly skin.
He's having that amazingly sensitive scene with Beckinsale, and he ends it by going like blah 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 blah, blah with the massive, and he's like, "It's a big tongue." Blah blah blah.
Funniest bit. I laughed so much.
Well, go on, right? Give us your funniest bits. Give us your favourite bits of the film.
It's a small one. It's a really small one. It's really like
go for it.
When Terry Crews pulls up to him next to him.
Yeah, that is brilliant.
But that's stolen from White Chicks. That same gag's in White Chicks. Where
is it Terry Crews as well?
Yeah.
I haven't seen White Chicks.
I haven't. I've seen the meme of Terry Crews going, I miss you.
I love Terry Crews. Terry Crews is fucking brilliant.
Terry Crews, you have a golden ticket invitation to be on the prestigious For Your Reconsideration podcast.
I was disappointed he muted him, actually. I was like, I want to hear
it. Everyone's watching. Incredible. James, what about you? Favourite bit?
Oh, it's probably when he told the Fonz to suck his dick, to be honest with you.
I got really offended by that, to be honest.
I thought it was a bit unnecessary.
I thought, honestly, it was crude, but it was actually quite a well-written bit of wordplay. He's like, he calls things tic-tac, and like, it's like, why don't you come over here and I'll freshen your breath for you, which is like actually quite a good one-liner in terms of, I mean,
it could have been delivered to a mate rather than his dad.
Yeah, it would be a great one-liner in totally different circumstances, not in this bucket full of crude Adam Sandler movie. Oh no, well, in which case it fits right in.
I did enjoy In Spite of Myself when he's a big fatty and he realises that Kate Beckinsale is now married to Samwise Gamgee. And he starts leathering him in the nuts while he's paused. And
again,
and
another
then he
example
unpauses him, and Samwise Gamgee sells that kicking the balls like nobody else.
Sells it as well as Mick Foley or Chuck Ferrara. There is a scene, you know, when he goes in, he arrives at his office, and I like it. In a way, this tiny little scene broke the fourth wall for me, because I thought it was just Sandler in a car by himself with a remote that could do anything. And he changes his skin colour and he's going like, oh, you've got a good tan there, buddy. Oh, you've got scurvy. You're on the scurvy seed. You know, and like, oh, I'm no Hulk. I'm no. And he gets the Sandler out for a few minutes. I just thought, are we watching him by himself here?
Yeah, that should be on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, it went on for a while, especially the Barney bit. I mean, the scurvy bit I quite enjoyed, but when it goes to Barney, it's like, that's not funny.
I do like his Barney singing voice, though. Yeah. Again, I've had to watch quite a bit of Barney, and he does quite a good version of it. So.
That's his standard, like Billy Madison. I am the conditioner.
Yeah. What are you looking at, Swan? Boys, right. I'm looking at all the things we've got to go through here. There's only one thing I don't think we have gone through, which is production design. But I think we're good on this, aren't we? As in,
it's a good-looking movie. It looks absolutely fine.
Yeah.
For the sort of film it is, it hits all those. There's nothing.
It's competently made from a production standpoint.
It is. I think, like you were saying, the effects are really good. The sets are absolutely grand. There's no worry with any of that. Casting is great. I love Jonah Hill.
Apart from Adam Sandler.
Jonah Hill,
Jonah Hill.
Is that Jonah Hill?
It is. Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I was so confused.
Has he got a prosthetic nose on or something?
Yeah, he has.
He must do.
It's Jonah Hill, but it's not Jonah Hill. I didn't know where I was with it.
Because I initially was like, okay, that's Jonah Hill. And then he got up and I was like, no, that's not Jonah Hill. And I was like, oh, but did Jonah Hill have a nose job and this is pre-nose job? But yeah, I was so confused. But
he's
one-liner.
He's like pre-Superbad Jonah Hill, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know what Jonah Hill looks like these days. His weight goes up and down so frequently.
I love Jonah Hill.
I think he's excellent. He's so good. But even he must have cringed at that stupid Rosie How tired is a Rosie O'Donnell fat joke at this stage? How many
I know.
Boring sitcoms have you seen that sort of thing? That's why people say I look like Rosie O'Donnell, Dad. It's like, it's like, I've seen that in so many different sitcoms.
Yeah.
Boring. So tired.
Can we just have one just little minute for the scene, which I think because I've not said I don't think I've said my favourite bit of the film yet, which was the scene with Winkler when Sandler rewinds to see to watch the last time he saw his dad, and they're in the office of the architecture firm in the future, and Sandler comes back and sees his son, and his son's now a prominent architect as well. And Winkler shuffles in, being in his mid-80s, and it's the whole thing's heartbreaking from start to finish.
Yeah, that's the point. He was building up for that in the 10 minutes previous.
Yeah.
That broke my heart. It really did. When Wrinkly Winkler walks.
The Wrinkler Winkler.
Yeah. It's
but and when Morty tells is it Morty who tells Sandler that his dad's actually dead? And Sandler's good. When you were saying, Si, that there's 20 minutes where Sandler's good, this is in that moment, isn't it?
It is. The bit before it with his dog, you sort of see a bit of that when he finds out his dog's dead, and that's when he gets his comedy out of mourning.
Yeah, that's a good point, man.
When it comes to finding out his dad's dead, he acts.
Yeah.
And he's good, and he is good, and you do have to go the genuine sadness in there from that bit where he finds out he's dead, and then the bit you say, Rob, where he rewinds that bit where he's saying, "I love you, son."
Oh, dear, don't. Because
and Sandler's in the background, and his face, it's great.
It is good.
And it's like,
it's a really
you're
good
a
bit
good
of the
actor.
film. Yeah,
you should do
really
this more.
Stop screaming into the
more.
mic and stop making us have dog having sex with the stuffed toy jokes. Do that.
He can do so
really
much better. I think that's what's so frustrating.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
He's not trying.
No.
He's got to such a privileged position where he can put any old crap out and it'll make money at the box office.
Yeah.
And maybe that's all he wants to do. He just wants to mess about with his mates. I think he hires all of his mates as writers, and good luck to him. That's absolutely fine. But when you put it out in the sphere, then people are allowed to say that it's a piece of shit if they think that's the case.
Yeah. No, fair enough, man. I agree with you. I one of the things that happened to me when I watched this the very first time was the tears. I cried. I openly admit I cried when I first watched this because of how much this 20 minutes.
Guilty.
This nailed me on the first watch, and then despite everything that happened when I'm watching it, and all the things that I'm watching it with my now much more, I'd like to think, mature eyes and world outlook, that I still found myself emotionally polaxed by the death of Henry Winkler. And then when Sandler passes away in the rain, I still cried at that. I've admitted it on a podcast.
I did the same. The point it was for me when it sort of opened the floodgates was when he's looking at himself on autopilot when Winkler's in the office.
Oh, yeah.
And his autopilot self just reveals the quarter joke.
Oh, it's awful.
His dad. So Henry Winkler, his joke to the kids is he bites a quarter and takes a chunk off it and then puts it back, and the kids are amazed and blah, blah, blah. And he's been doing it for years. And apparently that's a real life thing, what Henry Winkler does.
Yeah, I read that,
And then that moment where autopilot Sandler tells him that he knew all along the joke and it was rubbish. And then that was, for me, that was just like, oh. And then you see Winkler's reaction, and then he goes, okay, I'll go, I'm fine. And then, because that was the last time he saw him, that effectively killed him. That was the last thing what he did, and it killed his dad, because he just lost it. He was just, his face went, and then from then on, for the next 10, 15 minutes, the first time I saw it especially, I was full-blown tears, crying.
How are we crying, man? A Sandler movie like this?
That's my question.
It is genuinely effective.
It's a sucker punch. It is a sucker punch.
And it's also a massive testament to Winkler's performance as well, and Sandler's. Let's call it how it is. It's a testament to both their performances in that. And I think the son, the guy playing the son, forgive me, I don't know who that is.
The one who isn't Jonah Hill, because Jonah Hill's because you see Sandler's son as a child when he's 17, and then when he's a successful architect like his dad. Yeah. And when he's 17, he's Jonah Hill and he's overweight like his dad at that stage. And then you see him another 10 years later when he's about mid-20s or 27. Yeah. And he's thin again, and he's been working out with his stepdad, basically.
The only thing that ruins any of that, and that pulls me back into that whole segment of 20 minutes you talk about, Si, the whole segment is ended unceremoniously by the moment when Sandler is dying outside the hospital because he wants to see his son and daughter one more time, and his family are all around him. The score is swirling. The scene is very dramatic. And he opts at that moment to give Sean Astin the finger. And it's just like, I'm pulled out of that drama immediately. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's an Adam Sandler movie. And I'm back where I felt like I am now. You know what I mean?
He does try to reel it in though, because he does immediately turn it into a you're an okay thing.
Yeah, but by that point he's bottled it. It's like he was like, "Oh, I've been doing so well," and then I've
had a solid 15 minutes.
I need to remind the people who I am.
I've got to undercut it.
Yeah. I've got to pay them bills.
I'm a massive idiot.
People be walking out like, "What? Genuine emotion?" I thought I'd come see that. I'm going. I'm off.
That was a question that I was going to ask actually. Who is this film for?
Really?
That's a good question.
I have no fucking idea.
But if I'm like an Adam Sandler fan, right, and I don't want to cast aspersions, right, but if I'm going to see an Adam Sandler comedy and I'm expecting like this juvenile hijinks and un-PC humour and stuff like that, right? Do I really want to sit through another half an hour whereby he suddenly like discovers that where this emotional stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not going to take my children to go and watch this.
Well, no, because you can't, because it's like there's so much bad language and sex jokes in it that you can't take your kids anyway.
So who's it for? I mean, it's for somebody. It made a shit ton of money, but
I may have an answer. So, dipping into a review, this is from someone. It's a user review. This from someone called Rays on Metacritic. Trite, banal, predictable represents Hollywood movie making for the masses. If the masses are asses. So that's who it's for, James.
I mean, that's just mean on the audience, really. And I'm not going to cast aspersions on the audience. If you like Adam Sandler movies, that's great. And I don't hate the early ones at all.
No, they're classics. Sort of Happy Gilmore, especially, is it's really funny.
It's very funny.
Can we also get a bit of love for Bulletproof with one of the Wayans brothers as well?
Oh,
I can't remember that.
Damon Wayans. I remember that.
Yeah, Disneyland. It's such a good movie. Yeah, it's such a good movie.
So we've discussed who the film is for. We don't really know. We don't really understand who's got to see it.
It's a weird mix, isn't it?
It's like odd. Yeah, he's sort of just gone off half-cocked, I think. Yeah.
It doesn't sit right. None of it actually sits right now with me at all.
No, it makes me feel quite ill.
Well, I've got to be honest. When you realise that, spoiler alert, it's all just a dream, and he wakes up on that bed in Bed Bath & Beyond. I am, because I'm so traumatised by Winkler's death, I'm cheering by this point. This film's got me like, oh, thank God, when he goes home and sees his family and everything like that, I'm like, the sense of relief, I'm like, oh God, I'm so glad I don't have to go through that again. You know what I mean? Or do you not know what I mean?
No, I know
it's exactly. Okay if you don't know what I mean.
I know what... So that's the intent of the filmmakers, obviously. I can't get on board with it in the same way that you have, Rob, in the sense that I can't forget what's preceded it. And I just feel like when we get into the last act of the film that they're just trying to manipulate me, and I don't like it, and I don't think it's earned at all. And just for Sandler to come up at the end of the film and go, hey, by the way, I can actually act and emote and be an empathetic character that you can actually get on board with. I'm going, no, fuck you, right? I've had to sit through an hour of this nonsense, right, with you just doing absolutely nothing with this concept and being just an idiot. And no, I'm not getting on the train, basically. Yeah. But I can absolutely understand why people would. And I imagine, we can't ever doubt this. And the director, Frank Carici, has worked with Sandler a lot since then. He's done 2 or 3 films with him since this one.
Yeah.
He's in the Adam Sandler business, and I'm sure it's been very profitable for him. Maybe that's why he hires the people that he hires and hires the writers that he hires.
Yeah, it's quite well known, isn't it, that Sandler keeps it sort of in the family, as it were. Like, it's the same sort of bunch of actors and the same crew. And it's a, and fair play
I bet
to
he's
him.
a great mate. I bet he's a lovely fella, and he's a great mate to have, because I bet all these guys are all millionaires now, and you can't really knock a bloke who got his big break and brought all his friends along with him.
If you rang me tonight and said, Rob, do you want to go for a pint with Adam Sandler? I'd be like, of course, are you joking?
Of course.
I'd go for a pint.
I might be rich by then.
But no, of course I would.
Happy Gilmore all night. You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
Don't. Such a good film.
Happy Gilmore.
Guys, we've got to ask the question. I mean, it's ridiculous for me. I was the guy who brought this film forward for reconsideration with you guys. So, what are we saying? Would you suggest this film deserves reconsideration?
James, go on. You go first.
I think I'll go first because obviously, I've made my feelings quite clear. I think I don't hate Adam Sandler, but I think he's done much better work than this. I think watching this in 2019, some of it is really, really jarring. And if it wasn't such a stupid movie on the whole, you could find it quite offensive, particularly in terms of the way that its portrayal of women and ethnic minorities. It's really, really not good at all.
Yeah.
I would say rather than watching this film, pick up, if you haven't seen it already, Adam Sandler in Punch Drunk Love, which is a Paul Thomas Anderson film. It's the same length as this and is a whole lot more interesting.
And better.
Yeah.
Yes, well, yeah, crucially. Yes.
That was like 3 years previous to this, wasn't it?
Yeah. That one didn't make any money at the box office,
No.
so I think that's why we understand why these gone back to the old formula, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's a shame because that film especially shown that Sandler does have good acting credentials when he can be asked to do it.
Yeah, he goes toe to toe with Philip Seymour Hoffman in that.
Yeah.
You know, as we've discussed, the last third of this film is the same. He's really good in the last third of this film. I love that third act. I think the third act is emotional. It made me cry the second time I watched it, despite what went before it. I cried a lot more the first time, but that was in 2006 when things weren't so offensive.
It was a simpler time.
It was a simpler time. But overall, it's amazing how much can happen in 10 years for a film to become completely tone deaf.
That's such a good point, mate.
You don't want it on your name that you've recommended Click for anyone.
We've touched upon it. The overarching story and the wholesome message of it is really, really good. And it was just a shame that they didn't put in the legwork for it to pay off as good as it should have done. As much as it made me cry, that was more of a sense of because I did not expect that.
Yeah.
Those sort of gut punches. You know, when his daughter calls Samwise Gamgee dad.
Yeah.
He sees his mum at the wedding as well, and she's really old and frail.
Oh, don't.
And she's got lovely Marge's voice.
Yeah. There are some great bits in this. It tries so much to be wholesome, and it would be wholesome if it wasn't so, as I say, tone deaf in the first hour. So yeah. That's my sort of opinions. I'll also round up this, Rob. Just sorry to just go on and on.
Go for it.
A really good one-liner summed up by a user review on Letterboxd by James CW, who reviewed this film on 26th of May 2018. So quite a recent watch as well. I am never ready for the amount of tears I cry when I watch this horrible, horrible movie.
James CW, you are obviously our kind of man.
I mean, that's spot on.
It is spot on.
It is.
Rob, we don't normally do this, but let's ask you the question. Are you putting this up for reconsideration as soon as you pick this film?
I don't know. I mean, first thing I'm going to do is we usually enjoy doing this podcast together, and every now and then we have a beer while we do it. I've got a beer in my hand at the moment. James CW, you just hit the nail on the head for me right there. So cheers to you, man. I think that I thought when I put my hand up and I said, I won't click to be on it. I thought it was going to be an easy win for me, that I was going to try and convince people. Maybe not you, James. but
have you met me before?
that I was going to, that there was going to be enough good in this to try and make people see it was worth another go round, or at least to recommend to people to give it another chance. On watching it again, I was struck immediately by how Si used the word tone deaf, and I think that is absolutely
that's spot on.
It's like it's a bar and in. It's a Tony Yeboah bar and in. That it's unbelievable. That
Tony Yeboah
reference that could be ejected, but it's so accurate that it is tone deaf. So if you take away the misogynism, the horrible racial undertones, the fact that Sandler's character at times in this is a horrendous man-child. I know he does the man-child thing, but in this he's particularly ghastly. Like screaming in his kids' faces when they're trying to show him
has
pictures.
Children in
I mean, it's horrendous.
It's probably the first time he's played a family man.
It's ugly in every sense of the word. And then if you were to focus on the other things that are abundant in that last act, the message especially of enjoying life while you have it and focus on the positives in your life, make silver linings out of the negatives that are around you, then yeah, I would say this film deserves another watch. Having said that, I find it hard to recommend it now. I really do, given what we've discussed, just how ugly some of the connotations really are.
I think that took me by surprise. I didn't like this when I watched it on your recommendation.
It totally was, because me and you, Rob, watched it, Rob, and we were both like, "Oh my god, I've never cried so much at a film," which I haven't, and I still haven't since.
It's still the truth, you know. It's still the truth.
But I don't remember. I watched it back then. I don't remember it being as tone deaf as it is now. And maybe everyone was just. Why were those jokes okay in 2006? But
I don't think they were. I think.
No.
I hate to say it, but I don't think they were. I think we were all a bit less. I hate to use the word sensitive, but I think we were all a bit less sensitive as a society back then.
Yeah,
not necessarily sensitive, just aware. I think just aware of like of other people's feelings, because you know why that would be offensive to someone. And
that's exactly right.
I guess that wasn't really at the time. People were offended by it, but no one was listening to the people who were offended by it. Now we sort of are, aren't we?
Do you think that's the case? Yeah.
It just makes you think, doesn't it? That, and there is absolutely space for offensive and close to the bone comedy, and I don't think any of us on this podcast are prudes.
No way. I mean,
just by way of comparison, the same year. Borat came out 2006, and I absolutely love that movie. And it's one of the most politically incorrect films ever made. But it knows its focus, it knows what it's going after, and you just get the sense with this that it's just been kind of nasty, kind of sleazy, lazy, and just the jokes are punching down, they're not punching up at any point at all.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think what shocked me most on this one was the misogynism. I think that's really what shocked me most was that you would use your powers in this way to really just get one over on your wife and to get one over the opposite sex as much as you could. So much so that one of them had to actually change sex because she was so traumatized.
Exactly, yeah. And just a quick note on his daughter as well. So his son goes through a transformation and becomes a successful architect. As his daughter grows up, she just becomes a pair of breasts as far as he's concerned.
Yeah.
We'd get no insight into what her career is. She's got old.
And it's how he refers to his own daughter, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's kind of gross, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. It's a shame. It could have been so much better, I think. It has its moments.
And it's certainly emotionally affecting as well.
It is. No, it is. It does knock you for six, I think, just because of what...
And that's the kind of thing that a lot of filmmakers would give anything to be able to deliver as well. That kind of emotional heft. And if Karachi's doing it with Sandler and a bunch of poo jokes, he's smashing it, isn't he? Dude's smashing it.
Well, he's doing a movie with Steve Coogan next, so let's hope that he's back on form.
So... Boys, I get the impression unanimously that we're not for your reconsideration.
No, and I think this is an interesting episode in the sense that we've unanimously agreed, but we've decided not to recommend the film in this instance.
Yeah.
But it's interesting in the sense that, how a bit of distance from a film, you can actually forget the content of it, and as the world moves on and you sort of look at things from other people's perspective and maybe become a bit more empathetic and sensitive as you get older, that, it's just some of this stuff, it's just not on.
Yeah.
It's just not on.
No, you're absolutely right, man. Si?
Yeah, no, I echo what James says completely.
Yeah.
But it is good that, it's a good example of how nostalgia is not necessarily a good indicator of what's good or not. And I think sometimes it's good to revisit these films and see, for the better or worse, whether they're worth revisiting.
I know. I'd agree. I think like actually, I like this because I feel like I'm growing as a person talking about this sort of stuff. I'm actually able to learn myself about what I think about this kind of thing, or what I don't think is appropriate or what I don't think I'm comfortable with anymore or anything like that. But, and it's good that I've had Adam Sandler as the guide on this process.
I mean, I don't want to toot our own horn here, but we're doing a very valuable public service. I look forward to the New Year's honours list, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, 3 MBEs, please, Lizzie.
Thank you.
If you're not listening, get them done.
Harry Kane just got
one. I know, yeah.
What's he done?
For a semi-final. So that's the end of another glorious episode. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, and tell us what you think we're getting wrong, or put forward reconsideration options. We'd love to hear them. If you're on Twitter, you can get us at For Your Reconsideration. Letterboxd, we're on at ReconsiderPod, or drop us an email, reconsiderpod@gmail.com. Also, got to ask, if you've enjoyed what you've heard, why not subscribe, and please give us a 5-star review. It doesn't take any time at all, and it helps more people discover us. Thanks for listening, and we hope you'll join us next time. Say goodbye, boys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Say goodbye, Rob.